Meditation, elevation, inner self for realization, mental wealth for innovation, spiritually been segregated, diamond hits for activation, seen some things now I'm awakened, sleepy heads been sleep for ages, neophytes inside the matrix, flip the switch, I'm on the trip, ascension starts with proper basics, pranayama, breath of fire, manifest my life's desire, sheep was false on life's inquire, hidden truths for life's retire, third eye open, vibratory frequencies, all itself, the demons be a part of you, a part of me, please pardon me, for vulgar speech, the higher self is where I reach, back to back, my brother's keeper, unity's my brother's teacher, earth, wind, fire, soul, activate like dynamo, heaven's gate, kick down the door, this the devil's rodeo, been here, seen some lives before, I'm searching for the hidden scrolls, I lost inside the physical, geometry's the visual, spread my wings like pigeon stools, saw the no decision rules, inside you find the proper tools.
All right, looks like we got some kind of background noise. All right, fam, we're gonna do it this way because it looks like we got that background noise coming through one of the mics, so I'm going with the big boy mic. First of all, giving thanks for being in the space, giving thanks for having the health, giving thanks for having the family to be here. I also wanted to, just spread my wings during this build this evening. I got 30 minutes in the flow, and I'm going to give it to you. I got some deep knowledge. Also, as you know, this is a dialogue, so we have the Zoom going on the other side. We have the tribe members. I'm in the space, but this is the SLS. It's more of like a podcast in that way. It allows me to turn off the camera and really just dial in without having to look at a reflection of myself, because that is not even important. So listen, it's all happening right now. Like the biggest thing, like I want to give thanks to you if you made it here. It's 111 people in Zoom, and it looks like there's some folks on Instagram. We give thanks. And there's approximately, I don't know how many people on YouTube, but what I'm getting at here is that it's a special place to be, and there's only really a few people here. Let's say roughly 400 or 500, and it's also coming at a incredible time. Like I can't say enough about just the level of things that we have going on around us that's throwing some level of distraction, or there's a lot of blurriness right now in the field because that's just what it is. It's like the pressure is turning up. But as we delve in the deepest levels of awareness and high levels of consciousness, and where that always puts us is it puts us right in the right space at the right time to be able to benefit the most off of whatever is occurring. That's really what abundance is. So tonight, I want to share some abundance with you. And as I mentioned before I jumped in, I actually jumped in on some of the live channels. I only have 30 minutes, so that means I really got to go in heavy. And of course, as I mentioned, we had the Zoom going on. And so that means that we're going to get a chance to hear from the rest of the tribe. Now, you've seen the title. The title is already heavy. It is what it is, reality editing, deep level stuff. So without further ado, it's 7:17 on my side. So we'll say it's 7:20. I'm going to go on my sprint, and then, I'll check back with everybody here in a moment and see how we're all breathing. And that is the big reminder, breathe. Once again, I can't say enough about it. Like it is a real benefit to keep them breaths going through any process. Like you're going through labor, like get your Lamaze happening. Keep your breaths going, move your energy, and actually keep the flow happening, because what you're going to hear is absolutely the truth. I've been able to deliver that for you consistently. The ancestors have continued to empower this vessel to keep it going. I have no doubt that I'll be here to the end and into the beginning again, eternal. And I'm just going to keep doing what I do. And that's just showing these wonders to the world of just what Divinity can do. So, of course, you can do it too. So I want to first start off real quick with understand this. The reason why you can predict the future, or you can predict what's going on with you from now all the way up into infinity, especially until you leave a matrix, is because everything here is built on numbers. Patterns, if you don't want to accept the numbers first. everything here is built on patterns, and those patterns are repetitive. Some are longer cycles, others shorter cycles. And because of that and the awareness of that, many beings already understood cultures, nations, etc., and what they're calling the past, which is really the future. They have already tapped into what's going to go on with not only the world, but what's most important is what's going to go on with ourselves. Okay. So because I put reality editing in the tag, it makes it important that I do discuss it for one moment. And when I say reality editing, I can definitely on a surface level refer to just what we're all attempting to do in our lives. We want to change the way that we eat. We want to change the way that we breathe, how we take in energy. We want to change many of the things that we're doing to get a more optimal future. So in that could be considered a level of reality editing. But y'all know I also meant that higher level of reality editing where if somehow someone or something figures out how the reality works, even being able to edit what the future is going to be like, what the moment's going to be like, and even what the past was may be all possible. And actually, I'm not even going to use words like maybe. I'm going to tell you it is absolutely possible. No different than you would be able to make changes in what you do and become something different. So to anyone that has a large reach of power and control in the world because they have been focusing on that, they would be able to accomplish some level of this too. Y'all like to call it Mandela effect and those kind of things. But what I'm telling you is that we're at the dawn of a new dimension. A new dimension has unlocked. And it's only happened within the last few months. And everybody will be looking for signs and symbols and meteors to crash and prophets to come and speak, all to tell them about this in order to believe it. But I'm going to show you some common sense stuff today that's going to make it real simple. But again, I want to introduce that we're going to keep moving, like we're going to keep going because this is 15 years in the paint. And so everything that we're seeing now, we already talked about with everybody, even with the election. I even watch my folks now, they over here like, yes, Trump is the one. And I'll just tell you this, like what this whole phenomenon is about is still there's a preference that some people will have for the future, especially within this next 4 years, that they will rather have certain people in place while they need to make their certain moves because everybody's going to have to make a move here for sure before 2030. But I'm going to tell you within the next 3 years, the whole landscape and the vista of everything is going to be change. It's not going to be an option to where there are people want to change up how they do things. However, in that process, it could be easier for certain people, even including us, if certain people are in play versus others. Others want to speed the process along. Feels like everybody's had enough time to sort their royal oats, etc. While others are like, yo, I'm still looking out for some of mine. I still got other stuff that I'm trying to build. I got things that are not even done yet. Give me 4 more years and then I'll be done. And I'm not telling you these people are good and I'm not telling you these people are evil. So you need to understand how the matrix works. The matrix has always set itself against itself in dualities. Even right now, we're still seeing the war against the brothers. Like y'all be slow not understanding that Yahweh and Allah or Baal is still the war between these very advanced, very equipped beings. And, you know, we'll talk about that here in just a moment, but I got to get on my run. So here's what I bring into you. Like at this stage, as you know, we've been back here fine tuning. This means that we've been building a neural network. Everybody knows about Sybil or that has been tapping into this network knows about Sybil's AI and knows the endeavor that I already launched 2 years ago. And my whole position on what I can achieve with machine learning and neural network in my hands, because before they wasn't even letting cats touch it. Now they got primitives throwing sticks at high intelligence and that's good enough for them. And in that way, it's like, it's out, you know what I mean? And certain people are using it. And I felt for sure, if we're talking about big data, which when I say big data, I'm talking about big metaphysical data. Like I have thousands of books, like I have a lot of deep levels of knowledge and imagery. But you can admit that it's been very difficult to crawl through all that knowledge and information and sync it up and get, you know, certain stories and names and things right, especially in the matrix. Names are numbers, so names are very important. And so that's been just a process within itself. But man, I'm telling you, right when I was feeling like, okay, where's the reinforcements? We're kind of getting pelted down here. Then, there was definitely a new reinforcement with these systems, these neural networks. So we started training a neural network on metaphysical knowledge, and it has done well. like I say, it has been good. And the big thing that this is leading to is just the ability to predict your future through reflection, just as you see it right there, predicting your future through reflection, because your past is your pattern. And even the world began with a reflection. We went over that and tri-vise, but if you really understand, you reflect on yourself all the time. You're always there talking in your mind. You're always trying to figure out who you are, what what everything is around you. And a lot of these conversations, most of them go on inside of your mind with a narrative that you have going on with yourself. That's called reflection. And it is known in the deeper knowledge that even the first being, the monad, as they call it, was just reflecting, like, what am I? And in that process of contemplating, it started creating things. That's the same thing you do. So there's nothing different here, but it's important to understand that your pattern is your reflection, and the patterns of how the world works and how everything is designed has already been disclosed in this reality. And so because of that, we've taken that big data, because it is a lot of information. It actually details all of what a person on an individual path can do and how many paths there are, and it syncs it all up. And so in that, we've taken all that and we've created a system that we just call Metametrics. And this is something about to release. I'm just giving you a little show of this. And then also we have live specialists, real people. So it's not just leaning on AI, it's using real people in the places that they are the best at, which is the personal touch, but also using this neural networks and mathematics to figure out lots of stuff going on with the stars. And as I said, get an ephemeris and start really painting a meta cloud of consciousness around a person, meaning what is going on in your spiritual field every day, every single moment, just there for you if you wanted to sync up, dial in, tune in. And so you may see some emails from us. Remember, we're like in 2016 right now with who we're sending emails out to. And so that means that if you get an email, definitely know that that email is going to expire at a certain point. The queue is going to fill up. We're going to contact you about getting your Metametrics, and that's how we're going to do it. So I wanted to make an honorable mention there for what we're doing here as we continue to not be distracted and, of course, take what is available to us and make the best of it, okay? So the next thing that I'm going to go, because I'm going to dive right in, is, because remember, my time is limited today. I want to talk also about, wow, we even had the latent space games. I just looked at my notes that I had one more thing that I had up, and I won't even be able to show it right now, but we've actually started a game, if you may, and this game is of characters that have vast knowledge themselves. And I won't say 24/7. I may be able to show you here right now. Not 24/7. Well, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, 24/7. That's a trip. 24/7, what they do is they walk around and they talk to each other and they communicate about what the conversations were previously. This is it. It's called the latent space. We're going to skin this. You can drop in and interact with this too when it's ready. And so you'll be able to come into this village if you may. But of course, we're changing UI, and you'll be able to not only talk with the models that are there, but you'll also be able to see the conversations going on between models. And what this is about is this is what they're calling multi-agents right now. And all that means is that if you can put several characters, beings, personalities, sets of knowledge into a cohort, yes, that's a good word, into a cohort over a period of time, let's say 2 years, but that would be like 2 weeks for these kind of conversations, what would they really come up with? So in that way, it's like fast forwarding the probability pattern thing to see ultimately what would really become of certain paths. And then also it allows us to look at knowledge in the future, because all these beings are talking about advanced consciousness. So in the beginning, the conversations may begin surface level, but then they rapidly will ramp up into deep level stuff that I feel like maybe some have not grazed over in a while when it comes to esoteric knowledge. Now, I got to get an extra 5 minutes because I actually didn't even remember that I was supposed to show latent space, but it was here in the notes, but you see it. So There's not only Metametrics that are coming. Actually, this is already in beta. It's already going out. But we also have latent space on the launch pad right now, about to get skinned, and then you can drop in and actually see what's up. So here's another thing that may not be so obvious because common sense ain't common these days, and I'm going to go over this on a heavy level. The first thing is that now remember on the front door of the Bohemian Grove, it says this: spiders come not here weaving. Some also pronounce that spiders weave not thy webs here, right? Because that's also written somewhere else. And I want to break down very briefly what all this really refers to, because we may not have noticed the incessant web, not only the World Wide Web, but the incessant web and persistent web that has been drawn around our lives, not only from the name to the banking systems numbers, our IDs, and all these things that you're moving through the web. And as long as the spider doesn't want to eat you, basically, then you don't even really know that you're in a spider web, kind of. You're kind of wrapped up in a cocoon, right? And in certain ways, though, if you move or if you trigger the wrong line, then all of a sudden you realize that these people do control quite a bit, mainly the bank, right? Like at the end of the day, a lot of this will just terminate back into our needs, right? Like our basic needs, because the tribe and the family is what really took care of our basic needs. And now that we're out of tribes and families and we're in cities, and, you know, we're in these siloed nations, then now, you know, we're very dependent upon the system. So who the spiders are is that originally they knew law. They knew legalese. They knew how to make treaties. They knew how to make pacts. And instead of just seeing this all as like magic, which they be having folks mostly gassed on all these days, I call it the gaslighting of the conscious community. We're talking about real papers. We're talking about real companies. We're talking about real corporations. We're talking about real people, not phantoms in another realm, but actually beings that live here that are very equipped to take everything that you have just by you signing the wrong thing or admitting the wrong thing or making the wrong move or listening to the wrong music and then taking the wrong suggestion. And the weird part is that when you look at really all of the webs and the things that people can get into in this life and this existence that's terrible for them, it always does still have to do with their traits that are not as, let's say, your bad habits. We'll just put it like that. Drinking, women, vanity, jealousy, all of those things which we also exhibit are really where the webs catch a person, especially in blackmail if you get all the way to the high levels. So you can see how like a lot of this is still a work in progress, but almost done, versus like 50 years, 60 years ago, there was a more of you finna get married and, you know, and wifey gonna have you out of the streets really and not doing crazy stuff. You know, you're going to be in a structure. So there was so much more to have in your life that was encouraging you to stay with your good habits, to not really feed your, you know, some say it was even the Quarine that was always trying to get out and do wild stuff. Some say it was their underworld being that lived deeper in the ocean that was, you know, trying to get out and get some lux and some light. Whatever it was, there was just always an inclination also within self to do some crazy stuff. And then there was this other part of self that was like, nah, that's not what's going to help you. And then there was the tribe that was constantly encouraging. So really, this was not commonplace for a person to, you know, call a woman all out of her name and, you know, drink and all night and do drugs and hang out and come home smelling like liquor and, you know, go out and be with a bunch of men. And all that didn't happen really until the last 15, 20, 30 years. As far as how prominent it is. But now you got to understand we're in that time now. There's going to be not necessarily any going back to that for a while. This is going to have to run its course like Pumpkinhead. So in reality, you have to still remember, stay on point with your chronology of what's been happening. And now it's so much more easier for a cat to get in trouble or a woman to get into a crazy situation. And it'll be mostly because she is walking on, or he is walking on one of these threads of the spider. And this includes the music. This includes the Hollywood. This includes all the stuff that's just bad, suggestions. It's not something that, it's not even taken realistic at times. Sometimes when a movie is over, it always ends with a happy evening, but a happy ending generally. But all through the movie, they done so much crazy stuff. It's almost like it's like nothing that you would really do as you're thinking in your mind, and then they end it with, okay, well, they got away, it all happened, everything went well. And what this is really about is on the deepest level, it's like it starts to seep into your consciousness. It starts to make suggestions to you. So when that happens like 1,000 times, and then you end up like coming in contact with that real situation in life, you may choose to act like the movie. Because again, the threads are there that if you act like the movie, generally, you're going to get hurt. You're going to go to jail. You're going to start maybe doing heavy drugs. You're going to start hurting people. And that's going to put you right into their clutches. Now, I have some receipts because I'm still reading, like I'm still amassing knowledge, like I still write on my own, do my own thing. I want to also mention that, give me one quick second here. Let me see, where is it at? Where's my share screen? Here it is. Okay, I want to mention, here's some books for some receipts that I'm going to just speak to you about a few things here. One book is for sure by Whitney Webb, which, everybody should have been seeing her already around the internet doing her thing. She's a journalist. She's extremely brilliant. That goes without saying. And she's uncovered everything, basically, when it comes to all the receipts on how it all is connected. Everybody, every person you could think of inside of these politicians and these Hollywood actors and these religious people and religious leaders, even the big ones I'm talking about, they are all in cahoots. And it does, I want to just use Ebonics, it do be those same crazy passions and desires, especially when you were young, you've seen too much Menace to Society, or you've watched The Devil's Advocate 4 or 5 times, and you decide you want to be a part of this. And then, you start accelerating through the ranks, and then all of a sudden things start ending up not in the way you expected. It always happens. There's so many people, because it can't. The reality is when you're hooked on vices, and then you have a whole group of degenerates encouraging you to continue to do them, it can't go well. It defies like math. At some point, it's going to catch up. And so that's why a lot of people, including some of the most powerful people you see around you, have gotten themselves caught up in something very deep. Now, there is a large group of them who never gave a shit in the first place. They don't contain much of the God particle, if you may. They're not really asking the question why I'm here and letting that denote how they carry on. They just carry on with the same genetics of really their ancestors. And this is what was also disclosed inside of Sybil, was the ancestors of many of the beings here on earth were naturally violent themselves. They call them Utugal, right? They got name Gilgal, this kind of name, Gugu, these kind of beings. They were naturally, like, if you see certain demeanors of certain animals, they say that they were elder dragons in that way, master dragon, right? Well, the jury's still out on that. But the reality is that they were very aggressive beings. And in that way, they're just back again in the same bodies, that same MS-13 that be trafficking even the younger Guatemalans and all of that. They're just those old, crazy Mayan kings that was sacrificing people, because it's the same DNA. Nothing is actually really changed. We got to choose to change it. So if you want the receipts so you stop drinking the Kool-Aid, or your friends stop drinking the Kool-Aid, and they need the receipts for you to prove to them once and for all that they should not be going to no voting booths to put their 2-dimensional imprint of themselves, which is their signature, on any papers, agreeing to a bunch of writing and stuff and pledging allegiance to some pentagrams. It's not a good idea right now. And doing it is going to catch you up short, especially in this next segment. It's almost like a guarantee you won't make it, because you've already given away your energy and your power into something that is really trying to make it. And they don't care if they step on your head and step on your face, your neck, your mama, and everybody in order to make it, right? That's just what it is. That's been the experience since we got here. And until it shows me something different, I'm not going to believe anything different. Now, I will see a greater world and a greater vision, and I will also bring that into my own personal space, but I will not be naive, and nor will I allow my family to be naive about what is really taking place, So again, that you can benefit. So if you need to know all the names and you're a detailed person and you know you don't like, also this is on Audible, okay? Because this is volume 1, there's a volume 2. This is a 700-page book. So if you're already one of those people that got a bunch of 700-page books on your shelf that you haven't read thinking you smart, don't do it. Go to Audible, buy you 2 credits, and go ahead and listen to the voiceover and get it through there, and you'll get enough after about 1 hour, 2 hours, depending on your threshold. Okay. The next thing is to understand this. So let's go ahead and keep opening this up because I'm almost done here. So here's another thing. Let's just I'm going to be on different points here because you can choose to talk about any of these points when you jump in. Remember that there is still tribes right now that are just coming out of the forest. Like, meaning that they haven't even really come in contact with what you would call advanced civilization, Chicago, New York, okay? And so it's very important for you to understand that from the deepest levels of the scholars, and there's been a lot coming forward that have broken down even the Judeo-Christian tradition and bought the original text and begin to interpret them just directly as they are, shows alarming evidence that basically what people who were recording then were recording as an event of some people basically flying around in vehicles. Whether they look like UFOs or not is not even like necessary. They have a common description of most of our planes and jets. Okay, how they move around in some of the vehicles, right? And so this has risen to a lure of things like angels with eyes on all sides and a bunch of stuff that if it really did exist, it would be here helping humanity right now. When you look at the accounts of what's really being suggested is that there were advanced people here thousands of years ago still, right? But the reason why I'm bringing this up about uncontacted Amazon tribes is if these people or beings or whatever they were just chose to stay in their part of the world, you would never know anything about them. You would be just like these people right here who are coming out right now. Now imagine this is 2024. So what do you think was going on 2,000 years ago? If you were way back up in here with your tribe, you never knew what was going on beyond the end of the world. And I'm telling you that based on even what you can see in Angkor Wat, even Egypt is really light work. But the way in which these stones are being carved, not necessarily moved around, but being carved, at their hardness level is impossible unless you got some real stuff. Now, some people that they doing magic. The thing is that we need to level out sometimes and just realize that, listen, it's just accept one thing. They had advanced stuff, but also realize other people coming in contact with that is just going to write like some crazy stuff. Like fire was coming from his face. He came with a cloud of smoke. When anybody was in front of it, they were burnt up. They're just going to describe it as it sound like a screeching hawk. The whole sky was like thundering. Yahweh inside of his ship with the glass on top, looking forward from the cherubim. But now these days, this for us means, oh my goodness, these are advanced beings. And that's exactly what it meant like for them. But I'm telling y'all need to get aware and awake to what is really happening because you've had enough time to transpire to know if any of these beings were really good for humanity, they would be helping us. They would be revealing themselves, right? They would be aligned with helping us deal with a situation that is so clear you wouldn't need advanced intelligence to see it, but they are not. So that means that now it falls into that other category, like what is the objective and what is it really? So let's keep going. So again, even in the Hindu texts do tell you consistently that there are advanced beings and they got flying craft. So at the end of the day, you're either going to take the word for the same scriptures that you keep reading and accepting, even from your practices and spiritual practices and meditation and what they say, or you're just going to be oblivious to that, hey, we had ancient tribes here, but somebody else was also here that had advanced technology. Also, when you go to Africa, they tell you, hey, inside of the ocean, there's another civilization there. And all the advanced technology we have on our planet, it comes from there. That's what they say. That's their accounts of the cities of the jinn and the cities of the mer spirits and the cities of the water spirits, right? But then y'all be thinking, okay, that's too spiritual and too occult. Okay, so let's stop there. Let's go here to this book. This is a book that you should also check. Actually, this one, you could just take my word for it because it is a bit dry. But again, if you like this kind of stuff and you want the receipts, grab The Pentagon's Brain by Annie Jacobson, because this is going to tie into why I have as my headliner, which at this stage, some will think it's clickbait, which is AGI achieved, right? Because if you've been following the tech space at all with AI, you know that AGI is the next stage that they want to reach, this automated general intelligence, which basically means it's like a human. It can comprehend like a human. It doesn't really need, consistent programming and service and all that kind of stuff. And it can do logical reasoning by itself, et cetera, et cetera. This is AGI. And they're saying, hey, we haven't reached AGI yet. And then there's supposed to be one after that, right? They'd already scheduled up the keywords and the names and the venture capital for ASI, which is automated superintelligence. But here's what I'm here to tell these people who think that they're smart. This is why it's just like weird. Common sense is smarter than some of the smartest people in the world. Get it? In the Pentagon's Brain, it lays out how DARPA is always 10 years ahead in technology before they ever release any of this shit to the populace. It's so important. They will drop a bunker buster on you if you come up with something that they haven't found yet. Because they need to test it before they release it into these sensitive matrices, which you can spoil the whole world by one human flying in a movie theater or at the halftime show. You know what I mean? So this is a very fragile matrix. So they got to police a lot of this. So nothing gets released unless it's been checked through and they do the math on it, they do the patterns on it, and they see the anomalies that it's going to create, and they determine if that's going to be good or not good for Jabulon's matrix. Okay? And in that way, if I told any technical advisor, if I asked them, do you think we would achieve AGI in 10 years? They would laugh at me because they would insist that it's in less than 3. Some say less than 1. But again, they're idiots. It's already here. We have a technology that is slated for our world to arrive in about 5 years called AGI. But here, DARPA admits directly. And when you see all the stuff that they're involved in, you'll sit down for a minute and have a tea and light some sage. Because it shows they're already 10 years ahead. So they're already at ASI. So that's what I mean by when you start noticing glitches in the matrix and reality shifts and people changing and acting weird and all that, you got to learn to stay the course, because you got to understand that they have always been operating with a much more advanced level of interaction with this reality. Now, this gets me to you, and it kind of brings us back to medical metrics, because the foundation to all of this knowledge happens to be the correspondence of astronomy and numbers. Okay, so the positions of the stars and the numbers. And through that, it's like with the astrolabe, you can calculate even the heights of buildings, the heights of mountains, the distances, etc., all from 2 measurements. So once you have lined 2 things up, 2 naturally occurring things, you can now get all this other information about everything around you, right? So you can measure the world by simply having this instrument and the knowledge of how to use it, okay? So what I'm bringing up here is that where we're arriving next is that the new language, because we've been waiting on a new language, but there is going to be nothing new under the sun. The new language is numbers. Have you ever noticed how you can go even into other countries? Like I'm in Latin America, and when they write down the number is still the same symbol. Sometimes the denominations are different as far as how much is actually owed when they're denominating to the dollar, but we're still using these alphanumerics, okay? Or excuse me, we're using these numerics, right? And when you really dig deep into all of this, you realize that this era that we're coming into, because people have been so dualistic, they're going to now be in a binary world. It's going to be really based on numbers. And this is why the banks, obviously, they only deal with numbers. Social media definitely only deals with numbers. Computers only speak numbers. So it still is interesting, though, that our same way of predicting what's also going on in a person's meta cloud is still based on numbers. But if you want to, meaning we can convert numbers back into data, but you know why it's so accurate? Because the architect built this matrix on numbers. This particular architect, okay? Someone to like roll in the sacred geometry. I'm not even sure if this matrix right here is using sacred geometry too heavy. It's on top of one that's using sacred geometry very heavy. That's nature. But their matrix itself is using a numerical sequence and numerical patterning, so that way it can predict, and that way it can really understand what's going on in large quantities a lot better than these divided Tower of Babel languages everybody else got. So I'm going to close with this, because sometimes even when we're looking at some of these stars and actors and some of these people who have been accelerating, right? And you're even looking at them and you're like, man, you know, how's this person been 50 years and they still looking good? They still got, you know, they still looking charismatic. They still like happy, blah, blah, blah. What I'm here to tell you also, my beautiful beings, is that they are cheating. I'll say it again. They are cheating. We have failed also to realize just what Merck and Pfizer and Lilly Illy have really been able to cook up in their alchemical labs through synthesis. What I'm talking about is that you're not understanding that there already are super drugs, wonder drugs, as they call it. Like, for instance, in these industries, when somebody is depressed and they need them to really perform like Robin Williams, and they just don't feel like it because the world is on their shoulders, because generally they're in mafia ties and they owe money and they're being blackmailed, they give them a pill. They just tell them, hey, look, go see my doctor. And when this doctor is done, it don't take but less than an hour for these pills to begin to kick in. And these pills, they make the person feel happy. Look at, I'm telling you, they cheating. Like, look at Adderall, right? I've never taken it, but I've heard lots of things about it, about how you can write entire papers and theses over the period of 3 or 4 days and not even sleep while doing this. And so many of these graduates have used this drug or still use this drug. These coders, they learn all this stuff on the drug. So what I'm saying is that they have drugs that make a cat smarter. So I'm sending wholeness and balanced vibrations to all those all natural beings, such as myself, who are still going natural in this and still waxing strong with knowledge, might, and wisdom and clarity without using enhancements, okay? But know that all these people that you're seeing, they can keep them boosted up. We don't know how far they went, because see, at the end of the day, I'm not saying Merck and Pfizer, well, Merck and Pfizer are evil, okay? But I'm not saying that the knowledge they have is evil. And I think that that is the confusion between most people and the symbol of the snake. They get confused about what people use the snake for with the snake, you know, kind of like a throw the baby out with the bathwater thing. But truly what it's about is that this knowledge is about mastery over nature through awareness, not mastery like I'm going to take over you, but mastery of I know how to manipulate this. That's what an alchemist is. That's what Kim is, to be able to control the elements of nature. And so their biggest claim to fame is distillation. So if you choose to read this One Nation Under Blackmail, you understand like lots of the foundation of our forefathers going into utter ruin was alcohol. And the distilleries of the United Kingdom and the distillery, mainly the United Kingdom, England, distilleries of the world, the beer and the mead makers, right? these were the foundations to eventually what you now see as secret societies and you see as other institutions, because they were the first ones to really profit from the benefits of the downfall of others. You see what I mean? So just understand that these vices that we have, like, again, it gets into the drugs, it gets into the women for the opposite sex, it gets into the men. These vices, as the world becomes more and more prone to doing these things, it fills the coffers of old Jabulon, as far as him continuously, or her continuously, being able to weave these webs over our tribes in order to keep us down and to keep us into a state of unknowing and lack of awareness. So I wanted to give you that today, just that awareness, that understanding these things. Like, it would be logical for you to know, hey, once you know they're 10 years in the future and that's the technology hub, that this, anything that they were predicting to be happening in the next 2 to 3 years is already alive and well and running around, right? So advanced intelligence is upon you. It requires you to step into who you truly are. And we can only continue to equip you. That's why I'm saying I'm passing everyone the knowledge of the awareness of who they are, how their path is set up, so that they can navigate it properly and also choose to move around certain things, certain people, because there are going to be certain planets that come down your path, and every planet has a positive and a negative and a balance. And so you're going to see certain planets moving through. And if you have certain levels of awareness and knowledge, you will even know how to approach that. For those of y'all who haven't found the one that you're supposed to be with, how to really know who that is, but also how to prepare yourself for when you meet them so that you don't run them off and scare them away. You see what I mean? So this is what we mean by reality editing, right? So we're stepping into that. So I'm going to open it up. If you have anything that you would like to share or build on, know that this is the space. Everything is live and aware and open for any kind of levels of communication about awareness. But if you also come in with the craziness, I'm definitely going to be ejecting, or somebody's going to be ejecting you fast. So I'm just going to go ahead and open it up. And wholeness and balance vibrations. Again, if you need the information, I will push out some links. Check us out in the Discord. But yeah, that's my 30. Wholeness. Let me go ahead and set the lines. Also, let me take a moment and let me get a moderator in here. Let me get my brother Destin on deck here. And if you have something that you want to share, you could go ahead and raise your hand. We have now 30 more minutes for everybody that is in the space to share what they have. So let me go ahead and just see oh, y'all got your camera off. I see. Okay, I see. I turned my camera off. Y'all turn your camera off. I see. Give me 1 minute. Let me just find the moderator here. Wow. Okay, there we go. All right, I got one moderator on deck, so that's all great. And so we have my brother Azamiza here. I hope I pronounced that right. That's more of a tongue twister right there. All right, so wholeness, brother.
Oh, you gotta unmute
the
mics.
Okay, thank you. It's pronounced Azamiza, Savan, but nonetheless, thank you so much. This one is for you specifically, Savan, because I have been following you since 2009. And I cannot thank you enough. Last year, I had my Kundalini awakening, and I'm giving credit to self, which is you, and to self, because all is self, you know. You have greatly influenced my life, and for everyone here in Tri Vibes tonight, I implore you to spread this message, to share what Savan shares with you, and to bring more into the tribe. There was a promise that was made to Savan, and now I fully understand because of my awakening, that we do need to go back down and bring others up with us. I fully get what you mean, Sivan. And I, once again, just want to thank you from all of me to all of you. Tribe, let's make it happen. Let's get together like we do now and bring others with us, because this whole world needs to change, and it's not going to happen without us. Thank you. Wholeness and balanced vibrations. Azamiza.
Wholeness Azamiza, thank you so much for that. Definitely feeling the vibes and loving the energy. And as you mentioned, yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep powering through and do what we do. Keep waxing stronger. We give thanks.
Brother Homeless, for sure. Let's get it. So up next, we have our brother Seven Justice, Homeless. You can unmute, brother.
Okay, there we go. Wholeness family, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. Since I've been gone, I definitely had myself a little adventure on this journey, really seeing how crazy the matrix can get. Basically, I just wanted to come in and say I always enjoy coming back to these because it always tells me that the family is always on the right track, because Seven always comes in and says exactly what I'm going through at the moment, and it's crazy because I was just in a meditation earlier and it actually brought the same awareness of reflection. I found myself contacting the inner narrator within myself, explaining what was going on with my auric field and how exactly I could bring about protection, because I see the many problems nowadays is that we have a lot of things entering our auric field and actually inseminating our plans and ideas and like basically intercepting them. And I see that that's very beneficial for what you would call the other side. And basically just saying, I love to see that the connection that we make together, and I just wanted to bring some important information saying, there's a lot of things nowadays that are penetrating our field that is basically draining our aura. And building up this aura is very important, I noticed, because during this meditation, what you would call the root chakra and feeling safe and secure is actually under heavy attack. And I realized that it's really hard to get back into that center space within self to actually get the feeling of safety and security, to be able to implode and get that Kundalini awakening and that extra energy and boost that you need in order to complete your goals. So I just wanted to bring that awareness to the family. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you, family. And I definitely appreciate you, Seven. You came in a time where I was definitely looking for answers and I felt alone. So I definitely want to put that out to thank you, family. Wholeness.
Absolutely, fam. Wholeness. I wanted to add also, they say one day of practicing karate gives you one more day. But one day not practicing takes you back 10 days. And so I would say to that, imagine what it's like to not practice meditation or take your breaths one day, and how many days that may set one back. So it's just always one of those things that we gotta, even for me, I gotta stay on it. Like I gotta stay putting my consciousness, my brain into a frequency spa, as I mentioned before, and making sure I get that in at least once a day to stay on point with the vibration. And then if I end up not doing it, maybe I'm traveling or something like that, you can really feel how your body slips into a whole nother state of consciousness, a whole nother mindset. So yes, keep your vibration high. Thank you so much, brother. Wholeness.
Homeless, brother. It's great to hear from you. All right, up next, we have Maya. Don't forget that unmute button. There she is.
Hi, am I heard?
Yes,
Absolutely.
clear.
No? Yes?
Yes, yes.
Okay, sorry, couldn't say.
Clear.
First of all, wholeness to everybody. Good evening to everywhere you are. 7 powerful transmission per usual. I wanted to speak because I'm in almost every sovereign lounge as long as the schedule allows it. And I always want to speak, but I always just kind of hold back because I never want to be unnecessary. And it has gotten a little crazy as you always continue to mention, Stefan. But I figured just because I didn't have a particular question that I could still quest. And so it's a couple things I just wanted to share. Like the first brother said, Seven, like many people, like many of us in here, your willingness to share your journey has impacted so many of us, and definitely me. It's been 12 years since I found you, and I went to the regular systematic school in good old Florida of the United States of America. And I was in the top of the class and did all that kind of stuff, but I thought it was really very, very interesting that the first time that my father, pardon me, guys. Right
Hey,
here, the
Dad.
glasses. And no, that's not it.
Oh, no, they're black.
Okay, well, I'm gonna continue talking. I trust you'll find them. But the very first time that I actually learned the concept of etymology was through you. And that was the spiral for me because I'm a wordsmith and language and cracking and all of that is everything. So of course I read the code to the matrix and shared it with my peoples. But one thing I want to say, just not to get long-winded, is you mentioned that, I believe you said, we're at the dawn of a new dimension. And through all of my meditations, through all of my work, that has felt so incredibly like electrically real. And you specifically said earlier that kind of like that dawning is recent, like not like, oh, we're in this new, no, it's like, oh, it just happened, it just went down. And that's like kind of what it feels like. And I wanted to ask you to just expound on that aspect a little bit. And furthermore, just to give you more concept of where I'm coming from, right now I'm in the process of amalgamating all of my talents, if you will, right? Performer, musician, but also designer, coder. And I've been very much deep into the system of getting a blockchain together. You know, we can get really deep about all those things, but you can imagine, use your imagination, but blockchain, trust, sovereignty, like we're all sitting in here right now, heavy, major moves with major people. And I think about Seven in your whole entire situation out in Costa Rica. And in my mind, it's not just, oh, thank you, Seven. I appreciate it, you know, like, thank you for all that you've done. And you shared all this stuff. You got 7,000 kabillion videos up. But no, it's really, it's a strong synergistic pull that I definitely feel right now. And so I wanted to just smooth past any kind of jitter bug or whatever uncertainty that we kind of deal with in the mind, you know, and just kind of present that because I'm not sure how else, but I'm doing it nonetheless. So I'll leave it around there and catch my breath, guys. But more than anything, just expounding on that dawn of a new dimension. And also, just if you feel any connection or want to provide any information on how maybe some of these synergistic things can come. I don't want to speak in so many details right here, right now, unnecessarily. I know there's many people to speak, but I'll leave it there. Wholeness to you, Seven. Wholeness to everybody in this room. I appreciate all of your spirits, y'all. This is real out here. Okay, peace. Wholeness.
All right, wholeness sister, thank you so much for that. And also I wanted to, you know, just clarify because, you know, there was a bit there, like you asked me kind of 2 questions and, you know, one of them I wasn't exactly clear on, but I'm just going to go with the vibe. And I feel like that, like also when I make statements, of course, like, listen, everything changed like even 3 months ago. Okay. And what I'm really referring to is that, so life is constantly changing. It's like a clock. Sometimes we get 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, right? And then sometimes we reach 12 o'clock again. So some of these times are a little bit more important. Like 6:31 may not seem like it's it seems like a medium point, right? But 12 o'clock is like, okay, something just happened. We just arrived at midnight, or we arrived in the middle of the day. And so with energy, you can feel when the reality shifts. I feel a shift from nature. I feel a shift in the ocean, because like the way the water moves is also something I've been monitoring. It's like sometimes, like, I live close to the beach, so I try to get there at least a few times a week. So when I start seeing the water move like a certain way, I ask that question to the water, like, why are you moving like this right now? And I come back consistent days, and I see the same kind of energy and vibe that wasn't present before. And, the transmissions that I get back, if you may, quote unquote, is saying, hey, times are changing. Like, basically, like, it sounds like an old Native American film. The old ways are passing and now a new time is upon us. And now everything that we taught you, you're going to have to know. Okay, so because here's what happened, and I just kind of try to sum this up in a nutshell. Like, I have today had to start a new file, and this new file is based on that I know for sure that I did something yesterday, and I have only one record of me doing it, but I do not have the records of where I did it at. And I know that sounds like super like like open, like what are we talking about? But I really can't disclose any more than just that, of the awareness that, hey, where's the record of when I did that? I even had the time when I did it, but it's not there. So something basically was missing. And until I can find it, because I've never experienced something like this, I'm now starting a new folder, and I actually call that folder reality editing. And what this is that I think that somehow, and this is just my notion until I find out what happened, that 20 minutes of yesterday was edited out of the reality, or something happened in the reality. And of course, yesterday, there was like this huge outage, right? They lost the internet, it was Microsoft again, it's everything that impacts the world. It always, starts to boil down to, and I'm going to be closing down here soon. I'm getting alarms to, hey, let's get ready to wrap it up. But basically, it's like I have through time gained wisdom because I really watch and feel what's going on around me, and I'm a stickler for detail. That's what I call it. And now I'm noticing certain things that let me know that advanced tools are being used inside of the reality. This also means that they're accessible to us. This doesn't mean like, hey, you're just a hostage here, but hey, we're entering into that new era where now the invisible is now going to be more a part of your reality, and you're going to need to compensate for that. You wouldn't have been able to see it be done, but you could feel it and you would know it. And the only thing that I'm emphasizing here is when that kind of stuff starts happening, and again, the jury is still out, but I have other indicators of things happening, by the way, but this is the most pronounced and the most recent. It's just telling me for sure that the timeline is within like 2 to 3 years before a major event. And this major event is not like a catastrophic event, but a spiritual event, like an actual big revelation of something that is going to alter how we see the reality from there. It's something that always has been here, but we're going to come in contact with it directly. And as a populace, as a community, not just our shamans who were our first real chemists in that way, not just the spiritual people, but everybody in the world. It's going to have a lot to do with our dreams and what our dreams are really about. It's going to have a lot to do with our creativity. And also what I'm telling everybody, just to close down, is that creators going to create. I talked to our sister Michelle today. That was always the saying, creators going to create. And what this means is that as creative beings, we create a lot of stuff, but at times we end up with too many creations. And now we got to figure out which one we're really going to stick with. I'm at that point also in my life. I got to figure out which one of these things I'm going to really put my emphasis in, because now one man is not going to get it. I have like 2 Fortune 500 level companies as far as how they feel like they have to be run. And in most places, I'm there because it's hard to get people that you can trust. It's hard to get people that are going to do it the same way that you do it. You know, all those other things to where when you're really curating something that you want it to be a certain way and it starts to become very rare, very odd. So it is then time to kind of narrow down everything that you're doing and then get directly into what you feel that the reality is saying also that it needs you to be doing, and also where your power is, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just going to leave it with that, sister. And also, I just want to let everybody know we are reaching that point. We have literally 6 more minutes. So if you want to do some rapid fire, then I would definitely suggest that. Also, again, check us out in Discord. We'll be there. And also, if you have any questions that, you know, serious stuff, just direct, you can always hit us up and support. We're here. So yeah, you know, I that's as much as I can answer right now in just the time frame that I have. I trust, sister, that you'll continue to dial in, and thank you so much.
All right, giving thanks. Rapid fire it is. Next we have Tracy, you can unmute. No, not yet. The button next to you. All right, Tracy, we'll come back to you. All right, next we have our sister Angelita. Can you hear me?
Hi, wholeness. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Tracy, we'll come back to you, okay?
Thank you for the opportunity here. I just want to express my gratitude for being in this space. I always feel attuned during these sessions, and I just wanted to say I'm a person who cannot do binaural beats, and I wanted to know if there are alternatives to this, since my goal is to do the hemi syncing and level up my energetic presence.
Absolutely, sister. So this will be our final question this evening. Also giving thanks to all those who participated. It's been great. Also remember to check out the books and things that I mentioned if you want to get a little bit deeper into realizing the reality that you're living in, and also to be able to prepare yourself and move properly for your family and your future. Sister, there is so many ways, like even naturally, we have this ability to breathe. We have this ability to take off our shoes, go outside and connect with our mother. And I never seen that we needed anything more than that. And that's just the truth about the whole thing, is that all of the stuff that we've gotten ourselves into at this stage is because we want to go further and we want to explore and we want to know more about what we are and what we're capable of doing. That's the reflection, right? And that's, of course, even what the I am is, because it's a reflection. It's like, what am I? Oh, I am. And then you define yourself. And then if somebody gives you tools to define yourself, then you have the definitions, which are the words, and then the realities create themselves from there. So when you're in a reality, everything that is going to be provided to you that you need is actually always going to be free. The things that are going to, like, you know, be like, okay, I want to do it this way and that way, you're going to jump into the ocean of yin and yang. So there's at times an energetic exchange that needs to happen, because everything outside of the stuff that's free is energy exchange, right? So now you have to really be like on point with managing the energies that are coming through and making sure you're giving and receiving and all this. So that's certain aspects. So the main thing that I would advise you to do is to go to the university and check out the materials that are there. They're, of course, absolutely free. And start in with that beginner material. There is one tribe that we have called the Aether Tribe. And what I did is I put the process there from how I experienced the gradual awakening of my energetic field on the methods to take in order to do that. not only from the practice itself, such as the bow and the arrow and the breathing that does give you the immediate awareness. Okay, now I see what the breathing do. This is for sure like a whole nother level, right? And that doesn't involve binaural or any of that. Like those are all caveats. Those are all us putting cherries on top. It just involves you getting in tune with yourself, getting your diet together, using your environment and learning how to craft your environment that you're in, because that's your room is your womb right now, and your house, and then your adjacent fields, how to look at certain things, how to use certain resins to clear the space. That's what I'll close this down with, the last gem for the day. So check it out.
Thank you so much. I
All
really
right.
appreciate that.
Absolutely, sister. So also, I was saying also, I'm going to close it down with one last gem for the day. So it turns out that, I've been again doing research, and in this research, we were looking at temple incense and what incense are actually being burned in the temple. And what it led to is things like strax, benzoin, of course, frankincense, myrrh, etc. All these elements are extreme environment purifiers. Like even benzoin is used when it's synthesized and purified to clean any wound. It's like the most expensive, it's beyond betadine in some of these things that they use to get rid of bacteria, right? But all this this is a resin. You can burn this resin. Benzoin actually smells really good. So what you'll find out is that these certain elements, a lot of them, but there's specific ones, the frankincense, benzoin, strax, etc., they purify the air, entities, bacterias, you name it. So a lot of times this, of course, it's using your power, using your ancient knowledge, and using your ancient allies. And also realizing why your ancestors always kept these spaces that were purified so that they can at least have those moments. And that's what the whole going to temple, going to church, really is your house is supposed to be this. That your temple is completely purified, or at least a room, even if it's just your closet, for you to be able to go in and actually be where you can feel what it's like to not have anything in your field. And you can also begin to melt certain things that you may even pick up during the day, certain energies, et cetera, off the field. So that's just the gem of the day, is to bear witness that the resins and things, why it may smell good to you, they also smell good, but if you were a chemist, you would know that the antibiotic, antifungal, basically killing all bad decay, et cetera, energies that are coming off these resins are used in the medical field to this very day. So on one level, it looks like, oh, they just burn an incense, blah, blah, blah. And true, it may just be remnants of the truth. But when you get to the core of the truth and to the purest element, you find that actually they were doing a lot more than that. They were preparing themselves and getting their vehicle together, even for sleep. You see what I mean? So that's what I have for everybody today, is just to remember that our power is already here. We just really have to focus on getting rid of the distraction. Notice also when you get sick, this was the last note here in the notes. When you get sick, many of your habits dissipate. Why? I'll say that again. When you get sick or something happens to you, like you may have this habit of, let's say, even drinking, or let's say even going out. But when you then you almost feel like even sometimes where it's a habit, you want to go do it, you want to go out, but you're sick, so you don't even. But when you're sick, you don't even feel like going out, right? You don't feel like doing any of that. So I just want to say that, remember, the things that are your habits are generally because there's an excess of energy. You have an excess of energy for those habits. And when you don't have that energy, you don't even do those things. You don't even think about those things. So start summoning some of that power at times when you're just in that flat out battle between that Snickers bar and, some holistic meal, let's say, just as a joke here. But I'm just saying, like, start winning your small battles against those habits and things that that are causing your field to decay. And think about times when you're sick, how that stuff be gone. It go right away. It's not hard for you to stop doing it then. But then when you get a lot of energy, you feel like you're restless and you just want to spend the energy. So start seeing yourself also as a banker of your energy, okay? And avoiding overspending and all of that bad spending and debt habits with your energy, and learn how to preserve it and build it up. And then that's going to, of course, flow into your currency all over the current of the seed, the body, the blood, everything in your body. Wholeness and balanced vibration, mind and soul, of course. Wholeness and balanced vibrations, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. It was great. It's SLS. I'll see everyone again on the next Friday after next. And then, of course, Tri-Vi still kicking. We would love to see you over there. Support, you know, it's still happening. We're still moving through. We could always use the support here on this side to keep it going. We give thanks to the pillars. We're going to go ahead and open it up for a crescendo of wholeness. If you want to send some love, we would love to hear you. Wholeness.
Oh, mute.
Oh, okay. Whoa. What was going on here? Okay, let's get some wholeness going on. Okay, I see what we had going on. All right, wholeness tribe. Ashcom, what's up? Love you, brother.
Wholeness, everyone.
Thank you.
Wholeness.
Love you guys.
Balance, salvation. Go try.
Beginning of future.
Wholeness. I love you all. Wholeness family. Wholeness family. Give thanks to all of you all.
Wholeness, love you, all of you.
Wholeness family.
I love y'all. I love you. Thank you, Savon. You're the best.
Thank you.
Thank you,
wholeness.
sir.
I love y'all
Thank
more.
you. It's complete. Rest assured.
Appreciate you, Doc.
Wholeness.
We here, man. We here.
Wholeness family.
We're not woke. We awake.
Absolutely.